Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to Invisible Condition. I am your host, Jeff Pearson. And by the way, it's not all in your head. Uh, we want, we want everybody to know if you have an invisible condition of any kind, we want you to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you do have a community, and you are never, ever alone. And so that's one thing that we really drive home around here. And I'm very excited to introduce you to our guest today. She's awesome. Dr. Amanda Tracy has been helping women navigate hormone changes since 2005. Hormone changes that's just a thing. It's a constant especially in women's lives. And so she has been doing that since 2005 when she became a licensed naturopathic doctor, which is awesome. We need more of those. In 2021, Dr. Tracy decided to take her expertise online and transition to focus specifically on supporting women through perimenopause and menopause, which is really cool. Dr. Tracy works with women virtually, guiding them through the often chaotic, shall we say, let's just call it chaotic experience of hormone fluctuations associated with perimenopause and menopause and all the crazy that comes with that. Let's bring her on the show. This is going to be awesome. Welcome, Dr. Tracy. Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Jeff. I'm really happy to be here.
This is awesome. I think this is going to speak so much, I think, to our audience. This is such a huge topic and such an important one. What inspired you to specialize in women's health like that, particularly like the hormone changes, perimenopause, menopause? Why that focus?
Well, really, it started with my own health journey and my own story. Through my teens, I did not have regular periods, which teen girls are sometimes told that's normal, but mine would disappear for a year at a time and then come back. And so, or disappear for 6 months and then come back for a few months. So it wasn't necessarily the irregularity that usually teen girls experience of it being like 25 days apart, then 40 days apart. And your cycle does take some time to mellow out in our teens as your brain and ovaries are figuring it all out. So I was told everything was normal, but it really wasn't a normal pattern. And then as I started to get earlier into my early 20s, I was starting to investigate it, trying to figure it out to see if anything was wrong that I needed to address. Yeah. And secondly, if I could help it be more predictable, because although it's nice to not have your period for a year, and again, I should say I had no symptoms. I felt fine when this was happening. Wow. So it wasn't like I was struggling with any hormonal symptoms. It still would be nice to know what was happening. So as I started to get into naturopathic medicine, and I was always interested in nutrition and how the body works, I really wanted to focus on figuring out for myself, learning more about hormones outside of fertility and having babies. That definitely wasn't an interest of mine. And I also found that it wasn't really addressed much. Women's health tended to mean midwifery, fertility, and having babies. So even in naturopathic school, I was a little of an outlier wanting to focus on hormone balance. But through that, my own investigation and finding out what really worked for me, I really found that naturopathic medicine and attaching things to the foundations of health as far as nutrition and stress management and focusing on sleep hygiene, all of these tweaks that I made along the way, I eventually did start to have very regular periods without any noticeable PMS or any symptoms. And my periods started coming every month with the full moon at 3 a.m. Which the 3 a.m. part was a little tricky to manage, but I knew it was going to happen. So it was very regular through my 30s with all of those tweaks that I made. So that further inspired me to bring that into my practice.
I love that. And it's the whole, the part that I really like is the naturopathic, because that is the whole, it's like whole body medicine. It's not just, nowadays in medicine, in a traditional medical in the traditional medical model, it's very segmented, right? It's like if you have a problem with your knees, you go to the knee guy. If you have a problem with your heart, you go to the heart guy. If you have you go to the and it's so segmented, and and then forget about pharmaceuticals. That's nobody's talking between each other with that either. So there's so many things that are not ideal in that scenario. And so your world makes a whole lot more sense to me. And I think there's so many people nowadays that it is gaining in popularity, that like just treat the whole person, you know?
Yes, I think people are feeling isolated and also feeling the
Yeah,
lack of communication as they're going through a process, and a lack of
totally.
communication between their doctors, and how everyone is very specialized. And yes, if you need that exact type of knee surgery that surgeon specializes in, that's great. But if you need something else like knee strengthening or PT, you're out of luck. So I think
Right.
there's definitely a driver towards more holistic medicine, looking at the body as a whole, and especially for women in perimenopause, where yes, it's about hormone changes, but the symptoms can be anywhere in the body. They can be with cycle changes, it can be with energy, it can be with the gut changing, it can be with mood
Yeah.
or sleep. So conventional medicine unfortunately doesn't address a lot of those changes in perimenopause very well, because it's not set up to. It's
No,
just not.
exactly. I mean, the model is great. Like for me, I'm very glad that that there are specialized. I've made good use of the neuro unit in our hospital in town here. I mean, I'm very glad that there are neurosurgeons. That's a very specific niche, but it's a very important one, and I wouldn't be here without it. So there is a
Mhm.
place for that. But in general, for most people, the well-rounded approach is usually the way to go. And by the way, anybody watching right now, everybody watching right now, I just want to point out that if you have questions about menopause, perimenopause, what the heck is what's the whole body, what is this approach that you're talking about, how do I get a hold of somebody that can help me with that? Well, this is the person right here. You want to talk to Dr. Amanda. So we will, in fact, I'm going to do it right now. Here is a QR code that will, you scan that QR code, there is a website on the other side of that, and there's a really easy place to book a call with her on that website. So is that the best way for people to reach you, is to do that book a call
Absolutely. 'Cause
button?
they can enter some information so I can get to know a little bit about them before the call, and we'll have a half hour so that we can really dive a little bit into what's going on with them and see if the naturopathic route is appropriate for them. And I understand that naturopathic medicine or seeing a holistic or integrative doctor can be a little bit new for a lot of people. So that's why I like to
Yeah.
have that call first. It's a little different than just walking into your primary care's office for 15 minutes and, and then walking out. But
Yeah.
we form a different relationship, and it's a different approach to health and wellness. So I like to have that connection before we even get started.
I love it. And it is a very different experience. I'm not gonna, it is definitely different. I love it. I like it so much better. Because it fosters an environment of you actually wanting to help me. Like it's not just like 15 minutes conveyor belt, kind of thing, which is what a lot of people feel like in the modern medical environment right now. It's so busy, and you're lucky if you see the doctor, run past your door, you know,
Right.
for your
And
appointment.
I mean, I feel for those primary care doctors and nurse
Oh,
practitioners
totally.
out there. The system is not set up for them to be successful. They're burnt
Oh,
out. They're not equipped to handle those numbers and
no.
or to do medicine really. So I mean, I feel for them, and I mean, I see that a lot. Patients will start working with me, and they may be, complaining about their primary or having not bad good experiences, and they're like, well, it's not all their fault. It really is. How much? I mean, how much could I do with you in 7 minutes? I mean,
Right?
we really
Yeah,
didn't get into anything yet. So
exactly.
it's more about the constraints of the system. But
It
I'm glad
it's
that people are looking more to naturopathic medicine and integrative medicine as an alternative to that,
yeah,
because we do work in those gray areas where people may not have a severe enough condition to warrant surgery or pharmaceuticals, which is what conventional medicine specializes in, but they still aren't feeling well. So
yeah,
that's where holistic medicine comes in to help those people feel their best.
exactly. I love it. Yeah, and like you said, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. I love primary care docs, and we, we have a place in town here that we have taken our kids multiple times for, injuries and stitches and, whatever. And, those primary care docs are phenomenal. And you're right. It's not their fault. It's the system that was set up, and they're doing the best they can with what they got. So I
Mhm.
applaud them for what they're doing, but it's just regardless, the system's broken. So I'm so glad there's
Yes.
more people out there like you that are addressing things that don't get addressed. So um it's you know when we were talking about doing the show, I was thinking, well, there's some people out there that don't really think of menopause or perimenopause or um anything along those lines as a condition. Like, it's not really a condition, right? Like, what do you think is I mean, it's invisible, right? but
Mhm.
but so what do you think is the most like invisible about this? I mean, it's a hormone shift. It's a huge deal, but I mean, it is a thing. I mean, it's not like, oh, you'll get over it. It's actually it affects you, you know?
Yes. I
Like,
mean, after our conversation, I was thinking about it too. I mean, yes, perimenopause and menopause are natural parts of most women's lives. So it wouldn't be considered a condition or something outside the normal path in that sense, but it's definitely invisible,
yeah.
especially perimenopause. Perimenopause are the years leading up to the menopausal change, which for a lot of women can start happening in their late 30s, early to mid 40s, where your cycle starts to change a little bit and the
Hmm.
hormone levels are changing a little bit as it's going through almost a reverse puberty process. So it's not that menopause happens overnight, it's that some hormones like progesterone are lowering each month, and that can subtly start to cause some symptoms of more PMS, more breast tenderness for women, headaches, not
Yeah.
sleeping as well, like being a lighter sleeper. And over the course of years or months, that adds up to ending up being fatigue,
Oh
depression,
man.
anxiety, all these other symptoms that might bring you into the office. But until that point, it's too subtle to notice.
Well, and that's a big thing. Yeah, what you just said there. I mean, you kind of said it really quick, but it's important. If you don't address the root, then it could cause other things that would bring them into the office anyway. So address it when you need to, when you at the very beginning, right? Address it when you first notice something, and then you won't have to deal with all the outlying stuff that it can also cause, right? Like
Yes. I mean,
the other
that's some of the
conditions.
tips that I tell women in their late 30s and through their 40s. The first one is to keep track of your cycles. Even if you're not
Yeah,
most women only do this when they're trying to get pregnant. And then if they don't really feel like things are abnormal, they're not really tracking it. So they don't
yeah,
necessarily notice if it shifted from 28 days apart to 24 days apart, which is a kind of a borderline of when the hormones change and it makes it a little bit closer together and that starts to create an
yeah,
imbalance. And that's what I started to see in my practice. And one of the reasons I specialized in perimenopause is a lot of women in their early to mid 40s were coming in to me saying they've been diagnosed with early menopause or insomnia or anxiety and depression. And we found out it was these subtle hormone shifts, and they really weren't in menopause yet. It's just that if we, got the other things underlying the hormone system more balanced, then they were able to create enough hormones to have her cycle. But their doctor
yeah,
said, "Oh, you're not having periods anymore. You're in menopause, but you're young, so we have to wait for you to do anything." And so there's this like growing population of women that had nowhere to go. But
uh,
there's a lot we could do to help support that, and to notice those changes earlier on for women helps to have a better process and feel better
yeah,
throughout the whole process, because it can be 10, 12 years of changes,
sure.
and
Yeah,
not
no, it's not
6
overnight.
months
Yeah, yeah.
of menopause. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, and it's funny because there are even apps out there that will help you track that kind of stuff, right? It doesn't have to be hard, it doesn't have to be complicated. Even my wife, she doesn't know I'm going to tell you this, but she even her, like, she was like, I wonder, because there was some, it's like, oh, that one was shorter. Oh, that one was longer. So she even downloaded an app, and she's been keeping track, like,
Mhm.
ever since, like, for the last, I don't know, several years. She's just like, oh, it's fascinating. It's like, oh, it's that one was there and this one was there. And, it's like, but it's so simple to do. There's so many things out there, simple resources like that. And that can maybe clue you into something like, oh, wait, that's not very consistent. Maybe I should call somebody, or
Yes, and
something
there are
like
a lot of apps that you can track symptoms too, and over
Oh,
time it
yeah.
will tell you like, oh, you usually have headaches this week, and then you can
Mm.
track it, and that's very important for women in perimenopause because they can start to have symptoms not just before their period or with their period, but in the middle of the cycle, because that's
Yeah,
when there's a big hormone imbalance, and you may not realize it because in the middle of your cycle you're not having your period, you're not expecting anything to happen, but you may
right.
not realize it until you're tracking it for many months to see it.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, and so tracking it can really help. Um, so what so what are some of the most common things that people come to you, like challenges that they come with you and they're like you that you hear every day that maybe that's what sparked you to do this? It's like I hear this all the time, you know? Um, what's
There
some of the
are a
most
lot of
common stuff?
symptoms that are pretty common, and I think it's interesting to think about why I see them or why people come to see me. So they may not be
Right.
the most common symptoms of perimenopause and menopause. Like we'll say hot flashes is a very common symptom, but there's pretty good solutions out there, hormone wise, pharmaceutical wise, lifestyle changes. So I don't see people coming to see me for that very much. It's more of
Yeah.
the systemic symptoms like energy changes, feeling lack of motivation or low libido, or just not feeling like their usual mood, like feeling like they're on edge more often and like easily triggered. And then sleep difficulties, because sleep is very
Okay.
complicated and has a lot to do with the foundations of our health, but also conventional medicine doesn't have great solutions for it, or people don't want, I mean, people definitely are wary of the medications prescribed for sleep, and if they've gone through a sleep study and don't have sleep apnea, there's kind of like no other solution for them. So sleep is one of the drivers that brings women to me too. So I think it's a combination of the most common and difficult to figure out symptoms, plus
Yeah.
not really an easy solution or readily available solution for those women.
There you go. Yeah, and I'm sorry. I think I might have been unclear in my question. I think that's what I was going for is what yeah, when it's common stuff, yeah, but what do you see people come to you with most, I guess was
Yes. And
and
I
you
think a
totally yeah,
driver, people coming to my women coming to my practice, they really want to figure out the cause, such as in
yeah.
my journey. I really just didn't want to go on birth control pill and then wait 10 years and see if that worked. And they
Oh,
really want to find the cause of what's going on. They want to know where their hormones are, where they are in the perimenopause and menopause process.
right.
They to be healthier and to prevent further symptoms and conditions down the line. So I think that's
Yeah.
more than me offering natural solutions, it's finding the cause that draws women to my practice.
And maybe finding that cause to be able to prevent future things that might
Mhm.
come down the road if you don't address it now kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
now we're starting to have more research in perimenopause and menopause, and it is showing that the less symptoms women have in perimenopause and the more that their hormones are balanced, the less symptoms they have when they actually go through menopause. So I think that's definitely a reason and a driver to address things in their 40s
Oh,
too.
for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If more women, I guess maybe this is how if more women knew that by addressing it now could prevent that in the future, you probably wouldn't be able to keep them out of your office. They'd be coming to you.
Right, because we are starting to have a conversation about menopause in this generation, in the past couple years too, online, and it's a little bit doom and gloom about menopause too. It's like, "Oh, you're gonna
Yeah,
have these hot flashes, you're gonna, explode in weight, it's gonna be horrible," and so there's more awareness, but a little bit on the negative side, so and also women now talking with their mothers who may or may not have talked about menopause, and grandmothers who definitely didn't talk about it, and those generations may only remember the negative pieces too of like, oh, these
right.
things happen. And because it's, hindsight and 10, 20 years later. So I think the more that we focus on that prevention, and yes, we can minimize that very rocky road that happens for 6 or 12 months. That if
100.
you're starting to have perimenopause symptoms, menopause is going to happen. So
That's
it's
true.
definitely a driver.
Yeah, that is definitely the yeah, you know what's coming. It's not a mystery. It happens. It's happened to every woman in the history of you know of the world. So
Yes, and that
yeah,
doesn't mean that it's going to be bad. I've had
no.
patients that have had 0 hot flashes going through menopause.
Oh, awesome.
And they didn't change weight, and they had more energy, and And then some women that unfortunately did have 20 hot flashes a day. And of course, we treated them and to reduce them. But,
Yeah.
it works to reduce the symptoms to work on it in perimenopause, although it's not a totally like bulletproof vest. So,
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, nothing is. I mean, nothing
yeah.
is a, oh, it's fixed, you gotta, so yeah, but I think people understand that. So,
Mm, yeah.
well, I tell you what, I feel like this is a good spot to take a break. So we're going to go to a commercial, but everybody stick around. Do not go anywhere, because on the other side of the break, we're going to be talking more about how Dr. Amanda is helping people and share how she helps people through this crazy transition, and that it doesn't have to be crazy. So we're gonna be right back in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you just really soon. See you soon.
In a world where office workers typically receive 130 daily emails and have an 8-second attention span, CoreCentrica, with her 4 decades of international marketing experience, has partnered with the Learning Code Institute and their 30 years of neuroscientific research. Together, we are crafting unique messaging strategies that resonate, connect, and ultimately convert our target audiences. CoreCentrica, where award-winning creativity and disruptive neuroscience come together. Scan this code now, or call and click, and let us show you how CoreCentrica's partnership with the Learning Code Institute is influencing how businesses connect with their audience, foster engagement, and achieve conversions.
Hey there. Every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
Does your to-do list have you feeling stressed? Does your list include tasks like responding to email and phone calls, collecting forms and paperwork, and sending quotes and invoices? Have you been neglecting posting updates to your social media accounts, email newsletters, or content on your website? Maybe you need help to get digitally organized. I'm Selena, one of the owners at Office Mercenary, and we're a US-based virtual assistant agency. We can take care of all of these tasks and more so you can get back to focusing on the things you love about your business. Our team is happy to work with you and your individual needs. So schedule a call with us, bring your to-do list, and stop doing the tedious tasks.
Hey, everybody, before we bring Dr. Amanda back, I want to just let you all know that we are so excited to tell you that we are going to be launching an online community on August 20th. Sorry, slip of the tongue. August 20th, August 20, called ICU, Invisible Condition University. And so kind of a dual purpose there. ICU, and then Invisible Condition University. And the point of this community is to help people navigate all this craziness that, when you go into the hospital and you are not sure what's going on and you want help and you want resources and you want information, you want somebody to listen and care and walk through this with you. That is what we are here for. That is what this community is all about. So if you would like information about that, if you would like to be on our VIP list of people that are finding out about this before we launch, please, in the comments, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're, in the show notes, you see an email says invisiblecondition@e360tv.com. Just put in the comments or email me and just put ICU, Invisible Condition University, ICU in the comment. And I will know that to reach out to you and give you some more information about this, because it's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to tell you more about it. And we will have more information as the August 20th draws closer. And with that, let's bring Dr. Amanda back on here. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. This is great. I as somebody who is married and is been married for 25 years to somebody that is a woman and will get to deal with this soon, probably. Who knows? I don't know. What is the, by the way, I mean, this is important to me too. I mean, right? So if you're married, this is information you should be listening to also, guys, by the way. Hello. So what kind of, what, just this basic question, because I'm a guy and I don't know, what is the average age that that people enter, that women enter into, start entering into perimenopause or menopause?
The average age of the perimenopause changes as far as hormones starting to change would be between 42 and 47.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
I mean, some women a little earlier than that, some women a little later, but as far as those subtle changes, it's the mid 40s that it starts to happen.
Okay.
And that's where some of the mood changes, feeling on edge or being a lighter sleeper can start to become a pattern. So those are the things to be looking for. And the sleep seems to be a primary issue too with couples. Obviously, you're sharing a bed usually,
Right.
and different schedules and different patterns. And in perimenopause, women are lighter sleepers, so even the smallest noise or movement will wake them up. So they're often maybe complaining that the partner's snoring more or moving too much or the room's too hot or too cold. So that's kind of like the conversation that seems to happen between couples. And women in perimenopause need more sleep. So we actually are doing that puberty process in reverse. So if you kind of think about how much sleep you needed as a teenager to process all those hormones, women are doing that same type of work. It's not the estrogen levels are going way up and way down like puberty, and our body has to process that. And often we need about 60 to 90 extra minutes of sleep than we did in our 30s to do that. So finding the time and the routine to be able to do that is something that we often bring in the partners with too, because there's lots of things that can disrupt sleep in a couple, like TV watching in the bedroom and sleep hygiene routines and things like that. So
Yeah.
the mid 40s is sort of when to think about sleep patterns and mood changes.
Yeah. That is crazy because okay. That totally just sparked the question that I'm gonna, as soon as we get done, I'm gonna go ask my wife a question because that totally sparked a question in my mind now, with the sleep thing. So that's awesome. By the way, speaking of TV in the bedroom, that I know this is not what we're here for to talk about, but that is it. Do you caution people against that, or is that just a preference thing? Or, like, for me, we've never, in 25 years of being married, we've never had a TV in the bedroom, and I like it that way. I don't want a TV in there. That doesn't belong in the bedroom, in my opinion.
Yes.
What's your take
I
on that?
haven't had a TV in the bedroom either, ever
Yeah.
in 24 years.
Yeah.
So, and it's part of sleep hygiene is having the bedroom for sleep. So
Yes.
having it an environment that promotes relaxation, cooler temperature, muted colors, not strong lighting. And the TV there is a temptation. I mean, especially now that we have streaming shows. 20 years ago, it wasn't the case. People would watch a show, it would end, they'd turn the TV off and they may go to sleep. So it was a little different 20, 25 years ago. But now the temptation is just there to keep it going. And a lot of patients will say they fall asleep to the TV. They like the background noise. And so we try to find a different type of, white noise maker, guided meditations, things to listen to that don't have the flashing lights, the blue light that disrupts melatonin. So I'm really am against having the TV in the bedroom, but we also need to extend that to laptops and tablets, because people will say, "Oh, I don't have a TV, but I'm on my tablet playing my game."
Yeah. Yes.
Same thing about activating dopamine and blocking melatonin. The same actions are happening in your
I was
hand.
hoping you were going to address that. Yeah. Because
Right.
it's true.
Patients have tried all the tricks with me. Yes.
You're not off the hook if you don't have a TV. Yeah, if you're
Right.
camped on your iPad for 2 hours before you go to sleep, it's just as bad.
Yes.
And I've even found, even having certain conversations because you want to keep the bedroom a sanctuary for those kind of, like, nighttime activity, and so if you find yourself having intense discussions, or if, like, something's going on in your life that there's there's more conflict or whatever at this particular time. Don't do that in the bedroom. Am I crazy, or is that
No, you're
like,
not crazy. And I've actually gone through this myself, or my partner Joe, like after we would have dinner, watch some TV. That was his mind chill out time, and then take a shower and we get into bed. Then he felt he could download and talk about his day,
oh no,
tell me everything that happened. And I'm like, this is not the time.
no.
I'm ready to go to sleep. I'm glad you're comfortable. And now, his brain got to relax from the workday and everything. So we had to create a new pattern of that was not the time to download the day and discuss it.
Yeah.
So that was just, and that's something that happened as I started to have sleep difficulties in perimenopause, and really focused on my sleep routine and sleep hygiene, and was putting effort into getting to bed at a certain time and being relaxed. And then he's like, okay, let me start my daily download and tell you everything. No, we're starting a new pattern now. So I agree. Have those conversations earlier in the evening in different location. Sure.
Yes, exactly. Okay, good. I'm not going crazy. I thought that was just me. I was like, oh man, I know we don't want to do that there. So, okay, good. So so when people call you, they do the consult, the half-hour call, and then you're like, okay, yes, well, let's work together. How do you incorporate, like, I know you said natural holistic approaches, like that kind of thing. How does that influence your plans that you put together for people, like as opposed to them going to like a regular, MD or OB or whatever to address this stuff?
Yes, because it's a different process. So when I start working with women one-on-one, we're working initially for a 6-month period of time so that we have time to really try things out, see the results, make tweaks. They have, follow through and follow up through that time. And we really do spend time initially going through a detailed health history, family history, looking at their cycles, their current symptoms. And then what draws people in is finding the cause or trying to figure it out. So diagnosis is 80 to 90% symptoms though, and then the less 10 to 20% is the lab test. So we're really using that initial visit to figure out which lab tests, which type of hormone tests to do to really figure it out, because there are different ways to measure hormones. You can do blood, urine, saliva. They tell you different things. You can measure them at one day. You can measure them throughout the month. So we're really trying to figure out which way to test is going to give us the answers that we're most looking for and to find a solution. And then we're putting that all together in an initial plan. And that includes usually dietary strategies, which isn't a diet as far as like eat X amount of calories or anything like that. It's more looking at which hormones we want to balance and which foods could help do that in the body. So have these types of foods twice a day and have this food only once a week. And so more changing and targeting the diet and nutrition choices. So it's a little different than seeing a dietitian or a nutritionist in that sense, but it's more targeted on your specific needs and symptoms. And I love to use herbal medicine. So using teas and tinctures and herbal medicine formulas and capsules. And I can prescribe bioidentical hormones. So if they're needed, I can prescribe them. But often in naturopathic medicine, we have certain steps that we go through before using the heavy hitter things. So we can definitely try herbs and nutritional supplements first, and then see if hormones are needed. And sometimes it may just be one hormone versus another is needed, or we can use a lower dose. So conventional medicine is starting to use hormone therapy and bioidentical hormones, which is great. But in conventional style models, they're using a little bit one size fits all. These are the two options. You have to use one or the other. So that's definitely not the case in naturopathic medicine. We have different forms of hormones. And when I say hormones, a lot of people think just estrogen, but there's actually other hormones we can use too. So there's a lot more options in naturopathic medicine. So we're putting together a plan using all of those different therapies and checking in on things. So our hormones are in a 3-month cycle, especially women in perimenopause. So sometimes we'll add things in, but it may not see the outcome of it till that third period or third cycle. So that's why we work together for 6 months to tweak things along the way. And of course, in perimenopause, our cycles are always changing. So this happens a lot. I see women and they have a consistent 27-day cycle. And once we start working together, it goes 24 days, 40 days, 42 days. Not because of what we're doing. It just happened to be timing. Those women had the intuition of like, something's changing, and I'm not sure what yet. And then things started to go a little wacky. So that's why I always, patients that are working with me have direct access to me through a chat, HIPAA compliant chat messaging system, so that we can tweak things along the way. They don't have to wait till the next appointment. And I think really having that communication along the 6 months too helps us to form a deeper relationship and even just solve more problems. Because I'm sure this happens to a lot of people. You have a list of things you want to talk to the doctor about, and then 2 weeks goes by and you finally get in the office and you can't remember any of them. So having the chat helps get the answers in real time.
And even if you do remember everything, you only have 10 minutes anyway. So
right. And you're like, well, now I don't know if it's really happening anymore. I wrote it down. I'm not sure. And
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're in there for, you better get to it, man. So yeah. And you've gone completely I don't know, telemedicine?
Yes, so all of my practice currently is telemedicine. So it's on HIPAA compliant Zoom. I have a platform where everything is included on one dashboard. As far as the chat, I have an online course that women can do about perimenopause, the visits, everything's so you only have to remember one password. So everything's in there. And I decided to change to telemedicine 3 years ago when I moved from Massachusetts and sold my old practice and moved to California. So I do see women. I'm licensed in both states and see women in both areas still. And so far it has been working to do the telemedicine model because everyone's busy. And I think telemedicine is one of the pieces that is going to stay after the pandemic experience. I mean, yes, we don't want to do cocktail hours and game nights on Zoom, but I mean, people would like to see their doctor on Zoom because it's easier.
It's so much easier. Yeah. I mean, especially if you're in a big city, I mean, getting there is half the battle. And then, if you don't show up on time, then and anyway. Yeah, if you're late to a medical appointment, they might just gloss right over you, go to the next person, and then you got to wait another month to get in there. So telemedicine is awesome. And I'm totally on board. It
definitely seems to work for my patient population. Yeah. These are busy women that, I mean, a lot of them have their sessions with me during their lunch hour or while they're waiting to pick up their kids or at a soccer practice, or it's just more flexible. I do a lot of visits in the car.
I bet. Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, no, I could imagine. I could see that. Yeah. Waiting in the car. Okay, guys, go to soccer practice. And then they're sitting in the car talking to you. That's great. Yeah. That's the way to do it. So, well, I tell you what, this has been great. Cause I think this is stuff that I always learn something. I feel like I always learn something on every episode with every guest, but this has been very eye-opening to me in a couple of ways. So I'm going to be downloading all this in my brain while we go to this commercial break. But this is the last commercial break. We'll be back for our last segment. So everybody stick around. Do not go anywhere. We still got a little bit to talk about. So don't go anywhere, and we'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
Hi, I'm Jake, co-founder and CEO of One Hope. My friends and I started this company in 2007 out of the back of this truck on a mission to enrich people's lives through wine. Today, we've grown into a state-of-the-art Napa Valley winery that proudly houses a portfolio of award-winning wines which have touched lives through over 40,000 nonprofits at home and around the globe. And it's happening every day. Being rooted in local communities and contributing to initiatives that uplift neighborhoods, celebrate cultures, and promote community. It's what got us here. You see, through every bottle sold, your purchase can make a direct impact on the causes you care about. One Hope's cause of choice has given back over $10 million and counting.
The Club eFit Home Portable Gym System is a groundbreaking new system that can help everyone at any fitness level. You can be the happy, fit person you always wanted to be, and Club eFit can make that happen by helping you get the body you deserve in the time you can spare. With workouts ranging from cardio, core, to total body toning, it's easy to get started. Start taking care of you today. To make the change, go to clubefit.com now.
Eva Black Occurrence here, and I am the host of One Punch Superstars, where we meet real people who chose to fight for their hopes and their dreams and become the champions of their destiny. You can find us on Achieve TV every Tuesday and Wednesday at noon Mountain Standard Time, right here on E360 TV.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you for being here, Dr. Amanda. This has been awesome. I can't wait to hear some feedback from this one from men and women, by the way. Guys, I hope you're watching too, because I mean, let's be honest, you know, when our wife goes through something like this, so do we. You know, and so you better be paying attention too. So replay the episode if you have to, but this is great. So we get that QR code back up there so people can. There we go. All right. Before we go too far though, what will people see when they scan that QR code? That goes to your website, and then what's the call to action there? What do you want people to see most on that website?
Sure. There's a couple things on the website. There's some information on how to work with me. I work with women one-on-one. I also do group programs. So the perimenopause playbook workshop is a 2-hour workshop that all women in their late 30s through early 50s can attend to learn what they can do specifically for their symptoms in perimenopause and menopause. And then there is that book a call button. So that's where we can discuss which option might be best for you, working one-on-one or one of the workshops. And I also have a nutrition and recipe guide there that people can download, which talks about all the foods that help to balance hormones and some easy recipes. You can incorporate those foods into your everyday routine.
Awesome. That's awesome. That is something you're not going to hear from an MD. I'm sorry. That's just a fact. You're not going to. Not usually.
For some reason, conventional medicine only relates food to diabetes and heart disease, and for some reason it has nothing else to do with any other condition. I
know.
It's like,
I know. I mean, what the Hippocratic oath, for crying out loud, right? First and foremost, do no harm, but somewhere in there, it's also let your food be your medicine and your medicine be your food, right? That's in there too.
Yes.
You know? So
I mean, but again, lots of medical schools don't include nutrition education, or they have a weekend, a couple-hour course on nutrition, and it is focused on preventing heart disease and diabetes, which is important, but not really about the power of food. It's more about avoid these foods, really. So
there's so much power in the right food, though. You gotta, you gotta go there too. So I'm so glad you do. That's phenomenal. Well, I tell you what, I have a question that I like to ask every guest because it's an important question. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed a trend in some of the commercials, everybody, that we have on our show, and it's not by accident. Hope is a big thing around here. We love that word, and we love that concept, that mindset. Hope is a powerful thing, and if you don't have hope, I feel like you're kind of dead in the water already, and especially with invisible conditions. And so I ask every guest, you know, if you know, on the days that are stressful, on the days that are crazy, you know, how do you still maintain hope?
Really, by coming back to the power of my medicine, just we were talking about food. I mean, yes, it can be tough to be outside of the system and working in medicine and feeling like things are working against you, because those are the tougher days. But really, working with my patients and hearing the changes that they're making in their lifestyles and the improvements in their symptoms. And then for myself, feeding myself well throughout the day, moving, journaling, sleeping well, like helps me feel better. And I see the power of my medicine just by living it. So I know I'm on the right path, and I know people are looking for what I'm offering. And that just helps to create hope for my profession and my practice. And then also knowing that seeing in my patients all the changes that they're making, it does help them feel better. And so there is hope out there. It's more just like finding the right path, for sure.
I bet you have a lot of like aha moments in your office, like, oh, thank God, you know, we found something that's going to work. You know, they told me that nothing could be done because all the tests were normal, right? And then I come to you, and then we got a path to to better, you know?
Yes. I mean, and a lot of women are unfortunately in perimenopause left without hope when they leave their gynecologist or their primary care because they have a lot of symptoms, but they're not symptoms that their doctor's necessarily going to address, or the doctor addresses them as, yes, this is perimenopause. See me after you get through menopause and we'll put you on hormones, which that could be 10 years later. It could be 7 years later. So I think the more that we get the word out that there's subtle changes that can really help the perimenopausal years with or without hormones, the better. It's easy. Some of the changes are pretty easy. That can make an impact.
Yeah, the word easy is not usually associated in mainstream society with the word menopause. So that's really fun to hear.
Right.
You know?
I mean, I consider easy like, oh, switching out this beverage for this beverage or adding in an orange vegetable every day. Like that's an easy thing to do because you're going to eat. It's not as if you're not going to eat something that day. So just add something in and it will make an impact.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Well, speaking of impact, we've got about, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes left. Let's hear some success stories, man. I know you've got some. I know you've got some good ones, I'm sure. So what's some cool success stories?
Sure. One is a patient that was in her mid 40s and was having, again, like 20 hot flashes a day, disrupting her sleep, disrupting her work. She, worked online, but was on camera a lot. So it was definitely disrupting her lifestyle. She was tired, gaining weight, started to feel anxious a lot, partly because of the night sweats and hot flashes and being on camera and those things too.
Yeah.
And saw her doctor, was told that, I should also say she missed a few periods. So her doctor said, you're probably starting menopause. We can put you on estrogen for all these hot flashes. And this patient, her sister had just been diagnosed with estrogen positive breast cancer and was going through treatment. So that was not the right option for her at that time, mentally, emotionally, and physically, we found out. But so she kind of didn't want to do that solution. So she sought my help. We did some hormone tests, found out that her estrogen levels were perfect. And all of the hot flashes and other symptoms were caused by low progesterone and high cortisol. She had years and years of work stress that she had, normalized. When we started talking about it, she recognized it, but she's like, but it's just been like that for 10 years. Why is this year it's bothering me and causing all these hot flashes? But we found it was actually the cortisol flipping up the nervous system, and it was the nervous system causing the hot flashes. Had nothing to do with estrogen. So I'm glad she didn't go on estrogen. Right. And once we decreased cortisol levels and improved her progesterone, she started having periods every month. We did a lot of work on diet to help her body process those stress hormones, worked on sleep routine. She couldn't change her job. I mean, that was just, it is what it was. We could make some changes on how she dealt with the outcome of her job, but the physical, what the job is, what it was. So we worked around that, and she was still able to minimize all of her symptoms and have regular cycles. And she still hasn't gone into menopause. So I mean, that was maybe a success story, but maybe of a misdiagnosis story. But
I mean, even if it's a misdiagnosis, you figured it out, and that's the success, because the misdiagnosis can go, you can spiral all kinds of places.
Right. And I mean, that's something I want women to know too, is you always want to have some testing done before being prescribed hormones or using hormone therapy. So it was in the lab testing that we really teased it out and figured out that she really wasn't in menopause.
Well, and the right testing, that's the thing. Yes. I mean, I've learned, if I've not learned anything from all these amazing professionals that I've had on the show talking about, it doesn't even matter what the condition or what the symptoms are that like, if you get the right testing, you're going to be so much better off. And because some people, it takes them, I had somebody on the show that took them 12 years to finally diagnose the actual condition that they had. And it was 12 years of testing and misdiagnosis and putting on medications for things they didn't have. And and so finding the right tests is huge. So, I mean, and I'm sure that's your you address that too. I mean,
Right. That's why we
yeah.
spend a whole hour in the
Yeah.
first visit figuring out which tests we're going to run. I don't run
Yeah.
the tests before people meet with me.
Mm.
I just test everything under the sun. We want to make sure we're doing it in the right way.
Yeah, efficiency is a big deal, especially when you're dealing with something like this. Like you don't want to drag it out. Let's figure it out now. You know,
Yes.
let's do the right tests, and then we don't have to waste time, money, and energy on the wrong one. So yeah, fantastic. Well, we got about 2-3 minutes left. Is there anything just in the last 2-3 minutes that you want to leave our audience with?
More to be aware that perimenopause starts in our 40s.
Yes.
And to be aware that there are over 50 symptoms that could be happening in perimenopause. So, I mean, I don't have to list them here. You can Google them just to know that a lot of them are vague, like sleep difficulties and fatigue and slight mood changes. But some of them are more specific, like menstrual cycles coming closer together, PMS symptoms that women usually have for 2 or 3 days before their period start to be 7 or 10 days before their period. So if women start to notice those symptoms, to be aware of those perimenopause changes and that there can be tweaks to help you through the process. You don't have to wait years to go into menopause for it to end.
Yeah, that's true. And don't wait, right? If you're experiencing stuff, don't wait. Don't just hang out and be like, oh, it'll get better. You could be causing yourself more harm, honestly, right? I mean, if you don't address it when you start noticing things, like jump on it.
Yes, because progesterone levels start to lower. And if you start to try to reverse that within the first 3 to 6 months of cycles changing, it's a lot shorter road, an easier road than if we're waiting over a year of the cycles being erratic and then starting to cause more symptoms of hormone imbalance. So
yeah,
don't
that's
wait.
true. And I speak from experience in that with the condition that I have, and brain surgeries over the years and stuff, I have a very high pain tolerance. And so I've been known to stall on getting the help I need because I don't feel bad enough, until it's like emergency room time, so to save yourself from that, address it early.
Yes. And for women to be aware of their cycles and their normal symptoms, because it's really not necessarily about the severity of the symptoms. Like you said, pain tolerance being different. It's more about how much of a change is it for your normal personality or your normal cycle. It's about the changes in you, not necessarily if it's a severe change.
Exactly. Which is all about knowing yourself and your body and nobody knows you like you. So, just trust that. So yeah, 100%. Well, hey, this has been awesome. I am so excited that we got this put together, and thank you so much for being here and getting the word out about this amazing topic that I'm sure we're going to get some response from this. This is great. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed our time together and the opportunity to share all of this with your audience.
I so appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Here we go, guys. Man, I love it. I feel like I learned something every time on this show. It's so cool. And Dr. Mano is no exception. I'm so, like I said, I got to go talk to my wife about something that she brought up. I'm like, hey, what about this? So, all right, everybody. Thank you for being here. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or on E360 TV, thank you for being here. Thank you. Spread the word, share, like, subscribe, all the things. And please, join us for our next episode. That will be on Friday, July 26th. And until then, if you have a favorite episode, share it. It doesn't matter if it's last year sometime. If you're like, man, I really like that guest, share it. If it's your favorite episode, it's probably somebody else's too. So until next time, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on the 26th. Thank you for being here.